Welcome back to Uncensored. Thousands of people rallied in Washington today against surging anti-Semitic attacks since the Israel-Hamas conflict began. Incidents in the US have spiked by nearly 400%. People from all over the nation have travelled to the March for Israel, which also demanded the release of hostages taken by Hamas. Well, from Washington, I'm joined now by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, whose new book, called MTG, is out soon. Well, welcome, MTG. You are a very...
Hi. Thank you for having me on.
No, my pleasure. You're a very controversial character. Depending who I talk to, they say you're an absolute firebrand, the female Donald Trump. Others say you're a conspiracy theory whack job. How do you plead?
Well, I'm only controversial because people like you made it that way, Piers. And that's why I wrote my book, MTG.
What have I done?
People in your industry, they created a character of me that doesn't exist. And so I wrote my book, MTG, so that I could tell my country and tell the world exactly who I am and what my real views are, which are not radical. They are not controversial. They're actually very American, and they represent the views of not only my district, but most Americans who are sick and tired of being sold out by Washington.
So you never promote ridiculous conspiracy theories?
Well, if you mean by Russian collusion, absolutely not. Those are the conspiracy theories and the lies of the Democrats and the media.
Well, I agree with you about Russian collusion.
So no, I never promoted those.
I agree with you about that. It was ridiculous. I said so at the time.
Well, there was no, yeah.
No, and we were born out. But for example, I want to play you a clip from a guy called Bassem Youssef. He was known as the Arab Jon Stewart. And I interviewed him recently about the war. And he said this about you.
The saddest thing that I saw is the people that were in so much support of Israel are anti-Semite themselves. MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know, she said like, oh, those are, I send my aides, and they took pictures of the protesters. Basically, she's surveilling protesters. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is very known for a very famous post in 2018 where she blamed the California wildfires on a Jewish space laser gun.
Now, you did, didn't you? Because I've read that post. I went and got it, and I read it. November 17, 2018, you posted a long thing on Facebook that was just complete gobbledygook. I mean, you made out that the Rothschilds...
I talk about Jewish space lasers
do you admit
in my
that
book
was a lunatic...
that's something I never said. No, excuse me, Piers. I never said that phrase. That was a lie about me. If you read my original Facebook post, I never said it. And that's why I had to write this book, because people like you and whoever that guy was, who sounds like one of the trolls in my social media, attacking me and calling me names when he's never met me. I'm not anti-Semitic at all. I support Israel, and I am outraged at Hamas attacking innocent Israeli citizens, women,
Marjorie,
children, slaughtering babies.
I'm not calling you anything. I'm just saying that you did post this crazy post, basically alleging that...
the media lied about it, and that's why I wrote my book, Piers, because I'm setting the record straight. And I hope people order my book at mtgbook.com. It's a great read. People need to know exactly who I am, and what I really believe in.
It's a very good plug for the book. But you did suggest in this post, which I've read very carefully, you did suggest that the California wildfires at the time had been started by PG&E in conjunction with the Rothschilds using a space laser in order to clear room for a high-speed rail project. They're your words, not mine.
Well, you know, people have twisted my words nonstop, and I guess that's what you're going to continue to do. But we're working hard in America to straighten out our problems. You are. You're doing a great job of it, Piers, and that's what you and your colleagues do all the time.
Marjorie,
I just don't. I don't handle it. I don't deal with it, and I cast it to the
Marjorie,
side.
I have
you know, there's a lot of issues happening that we could talk about.
I'm going to come to those.
We could talk about.
But before we move on, though, you have to just accept what you wrote yourself, don't you? You deleted it. So obviously you were embarrassed by it.
Well, that would be like me asking you to accept the fact that you defended prisoners at Guantanamo Bay, but never say anything about January 6 defendants who are having their rights abused and are rotting away in solitary confinement here in our country, and especially in the D.C. jail. You know, if we're going to talk about each other's words, let's hold each other to account and to issues that really matter, not social media posts from the past.
I don't know what you're referring to on Guantanamo Bay, but what I would say about Guantanamo Bay is it's clearly ridiculous that America kept this open-ended camp where people were kept without trial, sometimes for more than 12 years. It's completely ridiculous in a civilized democratic society that you would do that. Now, let's move on from my words.
Well, in a civilized Democrat society, we shouldn't be holding American citizens that simply walk through the Capitol, grandmothers and mothers and veterans, walking through the Capitol, never doing anything wrong, and they're rotting away in jail and being persecuted by our Department of Justice and our government that has completely
Marjorie,
gone out of control. So if you're going to talk about one, we should talk about the other.
Let's talk about January 6th, by all means. I mean, I know what I witnessed with my own eyes. And it was a huge violent mob.
Oh, wait, were you here?
It was, sorry?
Were you here?
No, I watched it on television.
You weren't here. Oh, I was here. Piers, let me tell you, I was here. I was actually in the House chamber because I objected to Joe Biden's Electoral College votes.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that. I would object again today if I could.
You did suggest that people...
I was there.
But you did suggest that people use violence to thwart democracy, didn't you?
Well, you mean like in 1776 when we beat your country? Is that what you're talking about?
If you want to
reference... No, I didn't talk about violence on January 6th.
If you want to reference 1776?
What I did talk about is objecting, using my constitutional duty that I have as a member of Congress to object to fraudulent electoral college votes.
Let me play you what you said.
Absolutely, I did that.
Let me play you what you said. Let's play what you said. Your own words.
This is an important time in our history. We can't allow this just to be gone, just to let it go. You can't allow it to just transfer power peacefully like Joe Biden wants and allow him to become our president because he did not win this election. It's being stolen and the evidence is there.
So there can be no peaceful transfer of power. So what's the opposite of peace?
That's why we objected, Piers. That's why we objected. And it's a constitutional privilege that I have as a member of Congress.
Okay, but let me make my point.
There was a law firm that tried to take me off the ballot, and they were laughed out of the courtroom in Georgia.
Let me make my point.
And you were giving their talking points. I can't tell you how much people in Georgia would think this is ridiculous.
Let me give you my talking point, which is that a huge mob of people, many of whom were violent, crashed into the Capitol to try and thwart democracy.
Wait, do you mean like
people like you, Marjorie,
pro-Hamas
people like
rioters?
You said two things.
You mean like the pro-Hamas rioters?
No. I'm talking about January 6th.
That came in and occupied our Capitol on October 18th. That Rashida Tlaib herself led.
Answer my question.
No, wait, we're in 2023, Piers.
Marjorie, answer my question.
We just had a pro-Hamas mob.
You've written a book in which you talk about these things.
Okay. And Rashida Tlaib led it.
Can I ask you a question? Can I? Let me ask you the question. I want to ask two questions. One, presumably when you say there can be no peaceful transfer of power, you mean there has to be some violent objection to it, which is exactly what we then saw on January the 6th.
I didn't say violence. You're
there can be
putting
no
words in my
peaceful
mouth, and I'm not
transfer of
going to
power.
let you do that.
You said there can be no...
Piers, I'm not going to let you... You're lying. I'm not letting you put words in my mouth that I never said.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You want to know where the real election interference happened? It happened with Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Russian collusion.
I'm not talking about that.
And
I've agreed with you about that.
hell for 4 years
I've agreed with you about Russian collusion. Let's agree about that. But let's not agree about the stolen election. I told Donald Trump to his face, and he didn't like it, called me a fool 7 times, that the election was not stolen from him. He has singularly failed to produce any actual hard evidence that there was any stolen election. Do you still believe that election was stolen?
Piers, you're not even a voter in our country.
No.
And I can tell you right now, as a Georgia resident and a member of Congress, in Georgia, our Secretary of State illegally changed the laws. So did Wisconsin, so did Pennsylvania, to allow our states to be flooded with absentee ballots. We have cases in court today. You should look them up. Fulton County case.
These are cases that are about to be heard in the
next few months, Piers, excuse me.
Marjorie,
we're about to prove those cases.
It wasn't stolen.
You can think that all you want, but you live over in Britain.
It's not just me
I'm
saying
an American.
it.
I'm a Georgia voter. I'm a member of Congress. I've seen the evidence. Our election was stolen in 2020, and we are going to re-elect President Trump in 2024.
We'll come to what you're going to do, but just for the record, I do have a home in America, and I spend a lot of time in America, and I have lived and worked in America for 20 years. I love America. I love Americans. I particularly love your democratic system, and I don't like to see elected officials in America, whether it's you or Donald Trump, pretending you had an election stolen when there is actually no evidence it was stolen. And in fact, many senior Republicans
There's plenty
agree
of evidence,
it wasn't
Piers,
stolen.
And if you aren't capable of believing the truth,
prove it in the courts.
That's your problem.
Prove it in the courts.
It is being proven.
It's not being proven in the
Look up the Fulton County
courts.
case. Look up Georgia
no
cases.
court
They're
has
in the courts
upheld
right now.
a stolen election.
Piers, don't lie to your viewers. There are
Marjorie,
cases
I wouldn't
right
call you
now.
a liar.
Oh, so you're telling me
I wouldn't call
suitcases
you a
of
liar. I
ballots
think
being
you're
pulled out
completely...
from under the table?
Marjorie,
Yeah.
I'm not calling you a liar.
Have you watched the videos?
I'm simply
Stacks
saying,
of ballots being put through
Marjorie, as I said to Donald Trump,
counted over and over.
Marjorie, as I said to Donald Trump, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying produce the evidence, because no court in America has so far established any evidence that that election was stolen. It's for the birds. It's cloud cuckoo stuff.
That's because those cases were dismissed on standing, but we have cases coming up, Piers. Pay attention so that if you really want your viewers to know the truth,
if you prove
pay
me wrong,
attention to these cases happening right now.
Let's have a bet.
But let's talk. Do you have anything in 2023?
Yes.
Do you have, because we've done January 6th stolen election.
Yes, I do.
Okay, what do you got?
Here's what I've got.
How about my book? MTG. This is going to be great.
Let's talk about your book.
MTGbook.com.
Let's talk about you. You plugged it enough. You
it.
plugged it enough. Let me ask you, is Donald Trump going to win the election?
Absolutely. He's blowing it out of the water. The primary is a joke, and he is winning poll after poll on the general election.
And if he gets convicted of one of the myriad criminal offences he's been charged with, and I'm not saying when, if he is convicted and he gets a jail sentence, will he be president from a prison cell?
Absolutely. People are going to vote for him even if he is in jail. I would vote for him even if he's in jail, because we have communism in our country, Piers. We have the Biden administration that is using the Department of Justice like the campaign arm of the Biden campaign. It's unbelievable, and Americans know this. That's why people that are independents, Democrats, many voters are switching over to supporting President Trump because they're seeing it for the first time in their lifetimes.
Okay, Marjorie, we've got to leave it there. It was a lively encounter. Come back again, and thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Piers.